Within the first few minutes of playing a game, you know if you're going to be addicted or not. And for many games, it's not hard to see how we could spend hours on end playing them. But some countries have decided to take their citizens' gaming addiction into their own hands. It means they get to choose what is banned from their country. Some games get pulled from shelves for violence, nudity, or sexual content. Oh, come on! But others get banned because they're just too darn good to put down. If you have a video game addiction, then we're probably not the best source to go to for help, but we're a great place to find new gaming content. So feel free to subscribe to TheGamer and become a part of our notification squad. No judgment here, we promise. Just try a little bit, I bet you'll like it. Without further ado, let's check out 5 games so addicting they were banned across the world. Flappy Bird. Dong Nguyen quickly realized he had created a monster with Flappy Bird, and it's especially evident in an interview he had with Forbes when he said the following. Flappy Bird was designed to play in a few minutes when you are relaxed, but it happened to become an addictive product. I think it has become a problem. To solve that problem, it's the best to take down Flappy Bird. It's gone forever. Fans of the game didn't take it well, and Nguyen even received death threats after pulling the game from mobile markets. But who can blame the poor guy if it was causing him to have many restless nights? Flappy Bird was renowned for its difficulty, and most critics gave it terrible scores because it was just so hard to get a high score. But perhaps this is where the addiction to continue playing came with the 2D retro-style game. The main objective of the game was to direct a flying bird between green pipes which looked like they came straight out of the Mushroom Kingdom. If you touched one of the pipes, it was game over. The game was fairly simple, and it took Nguyen 2 to 3 days to create and develop it. He was inspired by the art of bouncing a ping pong ball against a paddle for as long as possible, and wanted to recreate a mobile game similar to it. If fans of the game really wanted to get their hands on a copy of Flappy Bird, they could just jump on eBay to get a mobile phone pre-downloaded with the app for around $1,500. Are you kidding me? But most listings were removed because they broke a restoring mobile phones to factory settings rule. The much cheaper alternative is to download one of the many free clones of the app available for the iOS and Android. That being said, it seems Flappy Bird saw its very own game over screen in 2014, and it may have been for the best. Pokemon Go. If we delve into our love of collecting things, we might start to understand why we're all addicted to Pokemon Go. After all, the game has been out for almost 2 years and it's not showing any signs of slowing down. Here's what Russell Belk, professor of marketing at York University in Toronto, had to say about our addiction to collecting things, but specifically in Pokemon Go. It's a challenge within a smaller world than generally succeeding in the world of business or a career, and so there's a greater chance of success. He also went on to say people aren't driven to collect Pokemon to complete a collection necessarily, but as a way of social comparisons, like saying to your friends, I have more of this specific Pokemon than you do. We can't deny that we love a good gloat when we catch a rare Pokemon before our friends do. But why was Pokemon Go banned in some countries and not others? The game was banned in Saudi Arabia because the government believed it was highly addictive and encouraged gambling. They cited facts about how it negatively impacted a child's development as well. Iran was the first country to ban the game over civil security, but China quickly followed suit. In Iran, players can accidentally walk into a combat zone without realizing it because the app doesn't filter out dangerous areas to protect the people playing. And China has a storied past with video game bans, including the decade-and-a-half home video game console ban in the country, but this also increased popularity for things like internet cafes and VR arcades. And while these bans may make sense, our favored one has to be the ban in Bali, where Governor I Made Mangu Pastika, I don't know if I said that right, had this to say about his government employees after discovering the game adversely affects the performance of government agencies in Indonesia. If public officials jump on the Pokemon bandwagon, then there's no need for them to ever come back to the office again. Indonesia is going so far as to say if you're an employee of the government and you're caught playing the game, it's sayonara to you and your gaming addiction. Fallout 3. Until 2013, Australia was strict about their video game rating policies, and video games could be rated up to MA15+, and the R18+ classification was reserved only for films. Although anything rated higher than the MA15+ could be classified as refused classification. This all may seem confusing, but there's specific reasons why games aren't placed on shelves if they're given an R18+ rating, such as sexual violence or promotion of illegal drug use. This was the case with Fallout 3. It initially wasn't allowed to be played by Australians because the drug referenced in the game were deemed too realistic. But Fallout 3 was highly anticipated by players around the world who had already enjoyed the series, so it wouldn't be banned without some backlash. The report released, choosing to withhold the game from the public, stated, Material promoting or encouraging prescribed drug use is ground enough to refuse classification. Furthermore, the use of morphine is highlighted, as well as its in-game effect, allowing the player to ignore damage. In its first week of publication, Fallout 3 beat all previous Fallout games in combined sales, and they managed to answer the call of Australian gamers everywhere. Now, Bethesda Game Studios quickly came to the rescue, editing out the morphine in the game worldwide to change it to Med X instead, so the game was allowed to be enjoyed in all of its addictiveness for Australian players and others around the world. Greece bans gaming. In 2002, Greece decided to pass a controversial ban called Law 3037-2002, which effectively banned all electronic games in public places to fight illegal gambling. It was made after a high-ranking government employee was found illegally gambling in a facility, unaware a video camera was focused on him, and it created instant hysteria in the country because of the sensationalized reporting. On top of this incident, there was a case against internet cafe owners who allowed customers to play online chess and other games, which had been declared unconstitutional by law. The law was found unconstitutional because it didn't specify the games had to include gambling in any form, but instead referred to any video game. If anyone was found using their mobile device or a portable gaming device to play a video game in public, they would be fined anywhere between 5,000 and 75,000 euros and face a possible jail sentence. Oh my god! This didn't just apply to people living in the country, but tourists and visitors as well. Internet cafes were also affected because if anyone in the cafe was found to be playing a game, the owner would be fined and the facility would immediately be shut down. It seems a little harsh. The government created the blanket ban, admitting it was incapable of distinguishing innocuous video games from illegal gambling machines. Not only did the law ban it in public places, though, it also banned gamers from playing PC games or using consoles at home. Although, we're not sure how they would even be able to follow up on all the gamers who play something in Greece. Thankfully, a judge found the law to be too broad, and the European Union decided the law was hindering the idea of trade with other European nations, and putting in place procedures that would go further than its original intention. It doesn't mean Greece hasn't tried to pass a similar law every year since it was originally thrown out, but gamers can breathe a sigh of relief knowing that, for now, their favorite hobby is safe out of the hands of the government. Play on, Greece, play on. Gaming companies ban entire countries from accessing games. When two countries don't agree politically, sometimes it's the citizens who suffer. Every time it's the citizens who suffer. And they lose out on things they enjoy the most and may even have an addiction to, like World of Warcraft and games created by EA. EA and Blizzard have made headlines for banning Iranian players from games they have purchased like World of Warcraft and Battlefield 3. And to top it all off, there is no refund for the players who have purchased the games, which are suddenly unable to be accessed in their country. In Iran, censorship is seen as a measure to maintain the country's stability and to help prevent unapproved reformist and revolutionary actions by their citizens. They go so far as to banning certain topics from media discussion, such as Iran's economic troubles, new international sanctions, including Iran's nuclear program, any negotiation with the United States, and certain social taboos. But what if it isn't explicitly Iran who is banning video games from the country? In fact, when it comes to games banned by Blizzard and EA, it wasn't entirely these companies' fault. They were following the law formed by their own government when it came to certain trade sanctions. Apparently, their video game titles fell under objects which would be cut if there was no agreement to certain trade deals between the countries. The United States has an embargo in which both Blizzard and EA are a part of, and forced to abide by. The most recent case, which again made headlines, was back in October 2016, when EA's Origin was banned in Myanmar. Strangely enough, every gamer in Myanmar lost access to their Origin games and their library with a single flip of the switch. But services like Steam and Uplay were still able to be accessed. It raises the question of digital ownership with games because if your government can take control of every title you own, how much of it is really yours to keep if they decide to just take it away? It's an interesting thought, and gamers across the country have perhaps started to think about it more realistically. Do you guys think we should still consider digital game ownership as a viable option for the future of gaming? After all, we're already addicted to a large number of games in our library, and we'd hate to see them be taken away so easily, even if it's by accident or only for a few hours. We took a look at some of the extreme measures countries will go when it comes to trying to protect their citizens. So what do you guys think about banning video games for being addicting? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching and subscribe to The Gamer if you think video games should be accessible for everyone. Okay, bye!